if you concentrating on awakening yourself, one of the good things to do is to distill things down, to boil them down into very, very simple messages and very, very simple tools, because complexity often sort of turns people off. But even with oneself, to boil it down to very, very simple terms is like a nice, handy sort of mantra or reminder of doing something. And just between the two of us, we sort of said, you can basically say that the point of being in existence is to move from a low vibrational state to a higher vibrational state and keep doing that. And when you use that very, very, very simple model, you can sort of look around, and the beauty of it is it's very non-judgmental as well. So you can look at people and say, well, you are low vibrational. You don't say it to the face necessarily, but you think, well, this is a low vibrational person. For whatever reason, through ignorance, through choice, through darkness, through this, through that, they are vibrating at a low level, and that's affecting everything, the health, the consciousness, their happiness, etc. And everything that we do is really aimed at increasing the vibration of that. And again, you can't really fake high vibrations. You can either do it or you can't. You can't just have a mood of doing it or pretend you do it or learn it off someone else. It's very unique how each of us raise our vibration and become more conscious and operate at a kind of finer level, higher fidelity, higher resolution, however you wish to describe it. But it's immutable, that movement. You can't fake it, and yet it's the only certainty really that that's kind of what it's all about. And there are definite thresholds, and this is something I'm going to go into next time I'm with you, I think, James, but there are definite threshold experiences that when you meet a certain level of vibration, you become capable of something that used to look quite extraordinary. And I think that's the secret of a lot of the history on Earth, that a lot of the feats of telekinesis or psychokinesis, as they call it these days, and telepathy and so on, and teleportation and all that stuff that seems so paranormal and strange and off-world is extremely normal, but not at a low vibrational level. And in order to be able to be clear and pure and clean enough to be able to do it, sort of ethically and consciously, you have to have a certain vibratory level achieved. And you can only do that the long way, by your own hand, by your own hard work. You can't necessarily, cheat on that and look at someone's, exam paper and copy their results, because it's unique to everybody. That's the beauty of it. And that's what's happened. So what's gone wrong on Earth is that there are certain conditions set up, and a lot of teachers have shown this again throughout the millennia. Certain conditions were set up to keep the vibration low, and all the bad stuff is really just reflections of that. And the only way to change that is to change that vibration. And if you want to look at it physically, metaphysically, chemically, spiritually, whatever, again, that terminology, we're just talking about a higher resolution of reality, really, a higher resolution of awareness. And it's the difference really between, you could say, something that is sort of dark and thick and something that is light and fluid. And it is the difference between beautiful, uplifting, elevating music and, dark, depressing, atonal music or whatever. So there are moments where swings between those things are important, and the shadow and the light and conscious and unconscious are aspects of the same thing in a sense, the solar-lunar connection. However, if you're permanently in the lunar cycle, if you're permanently in the dark cycle, then it tips, the balance tips. It doesn't mean that that's bad, it just means that it's imbalanced. So that's the problem, that we need to correct that balance by, for the moment, concentrating purely on the higher vibrational energies, because that's the thing that will tip the scales back to the point of equilibrium. So we can't just ignore negativity. That's foolish and very, very short-sighted. you have to go into the middle of it, you have to embrace it, and you have to understand that that darkness and that destructiveness is a legitimate part of the equation, but it isn't the only energy configuration. It's just one of them, and we have to understand that how we can reconfigure that and how we can redesign it, again, is not for some corporation to do, or some academic guys in a think tank somewhere, or some spiritual teachers who are highly advanced and much better than we are. It's for us to do, and it's for us to do whether you're a single mother in Alabama, or whether you're Hillary Clinton or Sarah Palin or Madonna. It doesn't matter who you are and what level in the system you're at. Everybody has the same responsibility, and it's not for anybody to choose to disown that, because as you do make that choice of disownment and, oh, well, I'll postpone my spiritual adventure until another time when I'm ready, which is what most people do. When you do that, you invite the void, this emptiness into your life, which will essentially kind of eat you up and transport you into a place where you stop being able to make decisions for yourself, and it isn't a very nice place to be. So the smart thing to do is to take that decision, and is to understand at a very mature, wise level that it is appropriate for us to take ourselves seriously. And it's only when we do that that we can make that decision to be spiritual beings. And the reward, if you like, because a lot of people like to sort of see it in that way sometimes, which isn't always bad. The reward is that life basically gets a lot more fulfilling and vivid and exciting, and the colour that most people only ever really had in the sort of teens and 20s floods back into your life, whether you're 30 or 50 or 80, it doesn't matter. That is the natural state. So that fluidity and excitement and adventure is part of the journey of that spontaneity of spirit, because spirit is a very present phenomena. It doesn't really extend itself into what we would consider as past or future. It doesn't work like that. That's very much a sort of logical projection. It doesn't work like that. So risk-taking and spontaneity are very much hallmarks of spirit, and they really operate at their best when they're in conjunction with the universe. So as Terence McKenna once said, the universe likes risk takers, and I fully endorse that statement. It really does. But it rewards those risks and makes them work out, if you like, and become successful endeavors when the risk is something that is aimed at spiritual growth and enlightenment and support and service. And when the universe sees that, i.e. our higher selves or the divine see that, then it all works out. So it's not a one-way thing. It's very much a sort of two-way dynamic risk. It's like a bargain with the universe. And when it's done with purity and intent and service, 9 times out of 10, they work out beautifully.
Yeah, I'm hoping for that, because I've taken quite a few risks and been very spontaneous. And
good on you.
Yeah, and so far it's worked out great, but I've kind of hit a wall here, which we're getting through.
Well, yes, and that's right. And when we do hit walls and obstacles, whether it's collectively or personally or whatever, it's like a crossroads point of growth. Mm-hmm. And if we keep firm on that in terms of our commitment to spirit, then usually we see that some support mechanism falls into place to take that in the right direction. And for some people, let's take a relationship as something that we all understand. It might mean moving away from somebody forever, which you thought would be disaster, which actually is what has to happen. For somebody else, it might mean meeting somebody who you always wanted to meet, very, very special. So whatever those kind of earth-shattering massive things are, whether it's in business or finance or health or relationships, always these things are of a spiritual nature. And it always feels a lot more serious when it's to do with things like health and well-being and finance